The fleet set sail from Rotterdam with high hopes. Yet the journey quickly became a nightmare. Storms tore sails to shreds. Scurvy claimed dozens of men, their bodies tossed into the sea. Mutiny and hunger gnawed at morale. One by one, the ships disappeared, some sunk, others captured. After nearly 2 years of unimaginable hardship, only the Liefde remained. Her crew, once 110 strong, had dwindled to fewer than 25 half-starved souls. Their destination had shifted too. Asia's riches seemed a fading dream. They drifted, weak, desperate, toward the rising sun. And then, land. On April 19, 1600, the scarred and broken vessel limped into the Bay of Yusuki, on the eastern coast of Kyushu, Japan's southernmost main island. For Adams and his crew, it was salvation. They staggered ashore, skeletal, sick, barely alive. They had found the fabled land of the samurai. But what awaited them would be more perilous than the sea itself. Japan in 1600 was a land in turmoil. After centuries of civil war, a single figure was rising above all others, Tokugawa Ieyasu. A warlord, cunning and calculating, poised to seize power and unify the nation. Foreigners were rare in Japan. Portuguese traders had brought firearms and Christianity decades earlier, and Spanish missionaries followed close behind. But Englishmen? Unheard of. To the Japanese, William Adams and his ragged companions were strange, almost otherworldly beings. At first, the locals treated the castaways with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. They were fed, but also watched. In Japan, trust was not given lightly. Soon, word reached Tokugawa Ieyasu himself. A foreign ship had arrived. Its crew spoke of distant lands, of navigation and weaponry. Intrigued, Ieyasu ordered the survivors to be brought before him. It was here that William Adams' true journey began. Imagine the scene: a vast castle hall, tatami mats rolled out across the floor, banners of the Tokugawa clan hanging in silence. At the far end, seated in dignity and power, was Tokugawa Ieyasu, the man who would soon become Shōgun, master of Japan. Into this chamber was dragged a weary English sailor, his clothes torn, his face hollow from months of starvation. Yet despite his weakness, William Adams stood tall. He met the gaze of the warlord without flinching. Through interpreters, Ieyasu began to question him. Who was he? Where did he come from? What knowledge did he bring? Adams answered with clarity. He spoke of England, of navigation by the stars, of the roundness of the earth, concepts alien to many in Japan. He drew maps, explained tides, described ships larger than anything the Japanese had seen. Ieyasu was fascinated. Here was no ordinary castaway. This was a man of science, of skill, of vision. But not everyone was pleased. The Portuguese missionaries, already entrenched in Japan, saw Adams as a threat. They whispered to Ieyasu that he was dangerous, a heretic, an enemy of the church. They demanded his execution. For Adams, it was a moment of reckoning. One wrong word, one false step, and his journey would end with the edge of a samurai blade. But Ieyasu was not swayed by foreign priests. He had judged Adams for himself. He saw not a threat, but an opportunity. This strange Englishman was a bridge to knowledge the Portuguese had long tried to keep secret. Instead of death, Adams was given life. He would become an advisor. A shipbuilder. A counselor to the most powerful man in Japan. Over time, Adams gained Ieyasu's trust. He oversaw the construction of Western-style ships, teaching Japanese craftsmen how to build vessels that could sail across oceans. His knowledge of navigation and trade became invaluable as Ieyasu sought to expand Japan's horizons. In recognition of his service, Ieyasu granted Adams the rank of Hatamoto, a direct retainer of the Shōgun. He was given a fief in Miura, lands, servants, and wealth. More astonishing still, he was awarded the two swords of a samurai. William Adams, the boy from Kent, the orphan who had once stared out at the sea with restless dreams, had become something unthinkable. The first foreign samurai in Japanese history. Yet Adam's new life was not without sacrifice. Though honored and respected in Japan, he longed for England. He had a wife and children there, faces he had not seen for years. But Ieyasu forbade him to leave. His knowledge was too valuable. Adams wrote letters, pleading with the English to send ships to Japan, to open trade. In time, his efforts bore fruit. The English East India Company sent an expedition, establishing a factory in Hirado. For a brief moment, it seemed England might carve a place in the rising trade of Asia. But Adams himself would never return home. He built a new family in Japan, married a Japanese woman, fathered children, and lived as a samurai until his death in 1620. When the end came, it was in a land half a world away from his birthplace. He was buried in his adopted home, remembered not as an outsider, but as Miura Anjin, the pilot of Miura. The tale of William Adams is not merely one of adventure. It is a story of resilience, of adaptation, of a man who crossed the boundaries of culture and time. He arrived as a starving castaway, condemned by priests, nearly executed by suspicion. Yet he rose to stand beside the most powerful warlord of Japan. Adams' story echoed across the centuries, inspiring novels, plays, and even modern television dramas. His life became the seed for James Clavell's famous novel Shōgun. But beyond legend, his legacy is real. He was the first Englishman in Japan. The first samurai of the West. A man whose courage and skill forged a bridge between two distant worlds. The storm that nearly killed William Adams in 1600 did more than wreck a ship. It carried a man to his destiny. A boy from Kent, orphaned and poor, became a trusted samurai of Japan. His story reminds us that history is often shaped not by kings and emperors alone, but by those willing to brave the unknown. William Adams, the lost sailor, the foreign samurai, lived a life stranger than fiction, carved into the eternal tides of history.